welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the MGP 4-Gate Batch 11 Ruby Rye Spring 56.7% ABV. Dustin, did I say that all right?
Close enough.
What did I mess up?
Well, it is MGP distillate. 4-Gate, however, is the independent bottler who puts these together.
Sounds good to me, Dustin.
Yep.
What can you tell me about this bottle, my friend?
All right, so
You've been wanting to do this review for quite some time.
yeah, well, I have become a big fan of what 4-Gate is doing, Mike.
They make some good bottles, man. They've got some really nice bottles for 4-Gate.
So what they're doing is they're going out and they're sourcing bourbons and ryes. Generally some pretty good stuff, but nothing epic in terms of, in my opinion, in terms of the bourbon and the rye they're getting. Mm-hmm. Then they're doing these beautiful finishings, which I think has really been one of the things missing in the American whiskey world. Mm-hmm. This one right here is probably about a 7-year-old MGP 95.5 rye. I'm not sure, but I think that's about what it is. Mm-hmm. And they finished it in a Ruby Port cask, which, as you know, Mike,
love port.
I love port. I'm a port guy. This comes in cask strength, and about $200 bottle roughly. So we'll keep that in mind as we kind of go through this one. But
high expectations.
Yes, and keep in mind this is the first rye that Mike and I have together brought you guys. I think you've done one or two prior.
Yeah, I don't give the ryes a ton.
I don't either. It's very rare I buy a rye, let alone buy backups, and this one is one I bought a backup of.
Let's get to the reason why. Beautiful natural color. Looks like dark caramel.
Oh yeah, and
smells like fresh mint.
Right on the nose, yeah. You get the fresh mint, you get that rye spice, you also get that beautiful sweet port, man.
Yeah, port does add a very dark, juicy fruit to whiskeys.
Just juicy red fruits, a little bit of grapefruit, but like not a super citrusy one, but like a really like juicy, sweet one.
Yeah, something very palatable.
Yeah, and then you got like, again, you got mint, you've got a little bit of like Christmas tree notes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is Christmas tree, it is pine.
A lot of caramel.
The mint is really almost overpowering initially. Not as overpowering as some ryes, but I mean, mint is usually like the first thing I get on ryes just in general.
Yeah. No, nice thing here is there's no dill pickle notes. There's none of that like off notes that I get on ryes that a lot of people are like, yeah, try that. And I'm like, nope. Here you go.
Yeah, this whiskey comes off as a very refined rye.
Yeah. You can definitely tell this is not young. Like it's not old, but it's not something that they put together. This isn't a 4-year-old rye like you see with a lot of places these days.
When you said Christmas tree earlier, there is a very dark kind of cold weather note to this as well.
Yeah. This to me makes me think of Christmas in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Dark cherries even.
Yeah, there's definitely cherry. I mean, again, that port is giving you all the different red fruits and then the sweetness of the malt. There's beautiful caramel here. Beautiful caramels here coming through.
I'd say the caramel is a little bit light to me at this point, but I'm looking for it, man. I mean, I think it's slight there, but it's almost with the port cast, like this plum skin note is there too.
I can see that. I keep going back and forth where I pick up the caramel and then I go back in again and I pick up nothing but rye. I kind of like, it's almost like the angle of the glass when I bring my nose in.
Yeah, you gotta move
It's like kind of changing which one I'm getting. And I prefer the caramel to the rye, but again, I'm not a huge rye guy. It's very rare I buy ryes.
Yeah, I will say this isn't the most aggressive rye I've ever had. But this, I mean, initially, when I went into it, like, you're drinking a rye. Oh,
yeah. But
yeah, no, but dude, again, plum skin, a little bit of sugar on that plum skin.
Yeah, if you don't like rye, this is one I still think,
you might
going to be interested in.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody who loves rye, it hasn't neutered the rye to where you're being like, that's not a rye, that's not what I want.
No, it doesn't dominate the experience. That port cast is absolutely, carrying 30% of this experience at this point.
Yeah, and again, I think that it's 6, 7, 8 years old, it's something like that, I'm pretty sure. I don't think this one tells us anywhere on there. I'm sure if we Google, we could probably find it. Age wasn't really important to me when I bought this one. I'd known, port casks, and I knew, again, when these guys go out and find casks, they get epic casks. They are not just grabbing bottom shelf, terrible casking.
There are Scotch distilleries and there are bourbon bottles that I know when I hear port cask. Mm-hmm. I just feel like, man, you're going to get that bottle.
Yep.
So you were always kind of a fan of 4-Gate to begin with, so when I heard about this whiskey, it was no surprise that you're going to get your hands on it, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Where do you pick it up on the palate?
It's everything we just talked about. It's a little spicier. The rye comes forward a little bit more. Anise, cinnamon, nuts, grapes, nutmeg, Lots of, Christmas spice, wintergreen, obviously some mintiness. The ruby rye sweetness up front is what brings it all together and makes it just work. And even a little bit of oak on the finish, which again, a lot of these ryes coming out today are too young and you don't get any oak. This has just enough to give you a nice, it's whiskey, it's properly aged whiskey.
Yeah, you get that Christmas tree note you were talking about in the palate. I mean, that's very predominant. But again, the mint's there, but it's funny. The mint kind of hit it first, then it dropped back, then the evergreen note, and I finally picked up that caramel you were talking about. But then it goes in that plum, dark fig, a little bit of sugar, and the mint comes back. Then it does a couple other, sweet kind of topic things, and then again the mint. So the mint kind of just, it's there and it's gone, it's there and it's gone. It's almost like keystrokes, like it's coming up here eventually.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of like some of the Belgian beers I've had, where there's just a bunch of random weird spices they've kind of thrown in there. They've played with
spicy,
it.
Yeah.
And there's just lots. I want to say coriander or cardamom or something like that. And I'm not really sure if I'm exactly what I'm picking up here, but there's definitely some spices I picked up in like some craft beers where they've really just kind of been like, we're just going to throw stuff at this and get it all kinds of unique spices. And it's all here, really complex, really rich, and honestly, Mike, it drinks very well for the ABV.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't come off overpowering at all. I mean, I tell you what, when you take your first sip of this, you get that mint shock on the side of the tongue. I mean, it is a little woody and a little oaky initially on your first taste when you're drinking neat. But again, not that I'm afraid of that or not that anyone should be afraid of that. It's a blast of flavor.
But you're not getting alcohol like overpowering. You're getting flavor bomb.
You're getting mint. You're getting Christmas tree. You're getting, maybe you get some of the things you said. I mean, again, dark fruits for me, plums.
Yeah, maybe getting I get some of those cereal notes, and I'm getting like some just really interesting like cacophony of like flavors.
I tell you what, Dustin, since I put water in this and I gave us both a nice dollop of water, the spice note is exploded in this whiskey. Minty spice everywhere. And it's wood spice.
I was gonna say, I get a lot of oak now. Really nice oak.
A lot of wood spice. Man, those other spices are there. You said cinnamon before. It's almost like a buttery cinnamon. Do you ever put like cinnamon and butter, like sugar and like dark sugar
on your
toast? Like on toast or something like that?
Oh yeah.
There's a little bit of that note to it as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, toast, butter, and
it's a little too much cinnamon on
cinnamon
toast.
And brown sugar.
Yeah. You just made toast. You put some butter on there. You threw big old wallop of cinnamon, and you threw some brown sugar on there.
Yeah, and that's easy. That's easy to thinking back to my childhood thing, because the cinnamon, how it had two openings, and had one with little holes, and like one you could just pour out of. Even if you went with the little hole one, you're getting a lot of cinnamon.
Those were not little holes. They were
for baking, for mixing. Like I'm making 400 cookies, but no, I'm not. I'm eating 2 pieces of toast.
Yep.
With butter and brown sugar on it. It was already not healthy. But I want a cinnamon for a little bit of kick, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
think cinnamon's healthy.
Flipped open that top little cap, spread it on there. I was like, wow, that's a lot. I can smell it. It's singeing my eyes. It's that level.
Yeah, now I'm getting more caramel coming up here. I'm getting more like a fruity jam. Still as spicy as all get out at the end on it, though.
I don't get anything. Is it, man, jam?
Oh, I'm getting marmalade on here, man.
Yeah. Maybe like a plum chutney.
Oh, man, it's beautiful sweetness.
I don't get plum on a lot of whiskeys.
It's one of those notes I throw out there sometimes just when I'm like, it's sherried and there's a ton of different stuff, but never distinct now.
I know what the note is. There is a plum sauce at fondue place, Melting Pot.
Okay.
It is that plum sauce. Like when you said chutney, we were kind of joking around about that, but it's a sauce more than it's anything else.
I can see that.
Yeah, sugary plum sauce.
I mean, the way it feels, it reminds you more of like a sauce that you would put on something that's hot versus a jam, but I get jammy levels of sweetness here too, so. Oh man.
So
oak and mint, beautiful. Mm-hmm. What are you getting not too bad of water?
Took down the mint note, which is fine. I'm not a huge mint guy anyway. Took down the mint, it's still there, but more sweetness, caramel, again the fruits. I'm not going to go over all of them again, but beautiful whiskey. I think I prefer the initial attack of it because the spice note's a little bit down. But in the linger, the spice note's still there in the back of my throat.
Yeah, I think water made it more
approachable.
Made it more approachable, and it made the middle part of the palate more interesting because it kind of brings everything together there. Whereas before, punched you, and then you were kind of like playing catch up, and you didn't catch up until the finish.
Remember, that's why I said it was this, then it was spice, then it was this, then it was spice. Like now the whole thing kind of just, a little more integrated.
Yeah, it's the waves in an ocean versus, a roller coaster where you're just like, ah!
All right, Justin, where are you at as far as the score on this wintergreen masterpiece?
Yeah, so I'm going to give it an 88, Mike. Really great whiskey, very complex, wonderful stuff. If you're a rye guy, you might even go higher. But for me, 88 is a pretty strong score for a rye.
Good whiskey. My first time with it, so I'm not as quite impressed with it. So I was thinking 85 out of 100.
Okay.
I'm not a huge rye guy in general.
Yeah.
But this is one of the better ryes in my opinion. And really, the Portcast did this a ton of favors in my humble view or take of it.
And at $200, I can't give this a firm recommendation unless you are a fan of rye.
Yes, that's a lot for me to pay for this bottle.
I know you wouldn't pay it.
Yeah, so hence my 85-ish.
Yeah, no, 85 is definitely not a $200 bottle.
Right.
88 is probably right there. I think this is right at the cusp of what it's worth, but I like port so much that I did buy two, which is why I've been quite liberal drinking this one, as I've just kind of made this my...
daily drinker?
For about a month there, I think I probably went through this thing, did most of the damage there. Every time I went to drink something, this was in the lineup.
There you go.
Because, you could have a couple whiskeys before this one, and this one comes in and just punches you.
It's a good ABV. You're going to remember this whiskey.
Yeah.
You're going to remember. 85 isn't a bad score.
No.
It's a good whiskey.
My rule is always...
Whiskey I'm not going to buy, but I'll drink it.
Yeah. 85 for me is always like, that's a good whiskey.
Good whiskey.
80 means it's like something I drink at a bar if, they don't have anything else. Below an 80 is like, I'd rather drink beer.
Yeah, below 80 is like, no, I'm not drinking that whiskey.
Yeah,
if it's Johnny Walker Red, I'm not drinking that whiskey.
Yeah, no.
Not that I'm picking on Johnny Walker Red, Welsh. All right? I'm just saying. Just give me something else if I'm at a bar. That's all, brother.
I hear Bill from the Whiskey Dick's a huge Johnny Walker Red fan.
Yeah, I heard that too. Bill. Good job, man. This is what it's all for. Anyway, these are our thoughts on the whiskey. If you guys had a chance to try this one, let us know what you think. If you have any other four gates that you think are interesting, let us know. Dustin will try to get his hands on them. Until next time, my friend, what do we wish, folks?
Happy drinking.
We'll see you then.